Welcome to Empowering Seniors. I'm your host, Katherine Ambrose. Could the third act of life be the best time of your life? We're here with Paula Kidd Casey to discuss just that. Paula, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I am thrilled to be on here, and I love your show, so I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, I appreciate being able to share what you have. So for years, you were a divorce attorney.
Yes.
Very good at your job.
Very good at my job, meaner than all get out.
Meaner than all get out.
I say other words, but I don't think I can say them on public TV.
And I've met you, and I just know you as the sweet Paula. So what caused you to flip?
Well, let me give you a little bit of background, if I may. Mm-hmm. So I was a divorce attorney for over 40 years. And in divorces, right, it's very competitive, it's very conflictual, there's winners or losers, it's very sad. I mean, It's a difficult situation to be in. And I was very good at what I did, which means that you're always kind of in that conflictual portion of their lives where they're not happy and we're trying to reach resolutions, right? But it was a constant battle. I was in court all the time, you're battling the other side, you're trying to tell your clients exactly what's going on. It was very, very difficult and very sad, and I did it for a long time. But I realized about 25 years into it that that's not what I wanted to do anymore. And I started having panic attacks in like 2005. Now, I'm a control freak, right? And so when I felt like I couldn't control my emotions and I couldn't go out of the house and I couldn't go to court and I couldn't get on an airplane, I realized something was wrong in my life, right? And I realized that this still small voice that had been telling me for years that I was here to do something else. That we don't have to decide at the age of 21 what we want to do and to get a degree, and we've got to do that the rest of our lives, right? We grow, we expand, we learn new things, which is what I think people don't really give themselves credit for. And I realized about 25 years into practicing law that this is not what I wanted to do anymore. But did I pay attention to that still small voice? No. And do people do that? No. Because they feel like they're trapped, right? You have all these responsibilities, you have all these things you have to do, you have to take care of your family, you have to make all these bill payments. And so I ignored it until it became such a huge, shrilling voice in my head that I had to stop and say, okay, what is going on? Why am I reacting like this? And I started on my journey. And my journey was, what else is there to life? What more is there to life than going and getting degrees and getting initials after your name and becoming successful and really jumping in to divorces, right? Or anything that you're doing and become a person that is not that happy, right? And not know how to get out of it. So I found what is called the law of attraction, which are natural laws of the universe that now I teach to everyone.
So you ended up becoming an author and wrote the book, The Lawyer of Attraction, and that was part of your personal journey, and you ended up sharing your story with other people. So tell us a little bit about what you learned.
That's a really good question because it's a journey, right? We learn different things on the way. So I realized that my real passion was to learn about these natural laws of the universe. And have you ever heard of those before we actually started talking?
The natural laws of the universe. I just think it's good to be introducing that to our viewers because I do think it's something we need to pay attention to.
Well, it's something we've never really been taught, and it's common sense to some degree. The ancient sages taught it, Jesus taught it, there's contemporary teachers that teach it, but we have really never been taught the power that we have. Each person is so powerful when they understand the natural laws and how that they can master them, internalize them, and implement them.
You were talking about your physical manifestations of not being happy. I experienced that too. I ended up doing something completely different than I did before. And it's important to listen to our bodies and to really try to tune into our intuition. What is intuition?
That's a very good question. There's two types of energy that we have. There's a masculine energy, which if you're actually in the professional world, we are using, and we're doing its action, it's actually moving things physically, it's becoming very successful, which is good to have that masculine energy. But we have a feminine energy, we all do, which is our heart and our intuition and thinking the bigger picture and seeing things more spiritual. And we need to learn to balance those two. And I was in a very masculine field and meaner than all get out. And I really realized that I need to start paying attention to my intuition because it was telling me that I needed to do something else with my life.
Do something else for you. It sounds like you've ended up doing a lot for other people as well because you were willing to take that step.
And I know that you actually kind of changed careers because I was in my 50s when I thought, I want to do something else, and we only have a certain amount of time left, right? And I realized that if it's not now, when? And that's when I really started going into another line of learning these natural laws and how that I teach them and how that people can use them in their lives and really change their lives.
And give ourselves permission in our 50s, 60s, 70s, whenever it might be, to have a fresh start, do something new. So I'd like to think that you weren't throwing your divorce attorney career away. You used that, everything you learned there, to help you with what you're doing. I did the same thing with my career, and I tell this to people all the time, that you can take everything that you have gathered in your life, all that wisdom, and use it for the new thing that you're doing.
And I love the word wisdom, right? Because I think we don't appreciate the word wisdom because we have to have a lot of years behind us to get to that wisdom. And I realized I took a lot of the things as an attorney. I was a good negotiator, I was a good communicator, I was a good researcher as an attorney, right? And I took all of those to put them together to be able to bring this information. And I really realized that this last act, this last third of our lives are amazing because our first act, right, is the first 30 years. And all we're doing is we're learning, we're figuring out what we want to do with our lives. The next 30 years is we're accumulating. We're accumulating money and possessions and families and houses. But the last
or just experiences,
and
good
experiences, always experiences. And the last third of our years of our life, we have the wisdom and the experiences that we've never had before, and we still have another good 30 years. You know, if you go to a play, the last act is where everything happens, right? The hero reveals himself. There's a resolution. There's a solution, right? And the third act is where it's really happening. And I don't think people give themselves credit to really realize that this is the time they can do whatever they want to with their lives. But they need to learn a different way to actually implement this passion that they have in their lives.
So if you think about the Act 1 and Act 2, it's just the setup for the real story. That's where the climax happens. That's where the beauty of the story comes from. And so if we put a lot of energy into our third act and are very creative, it's unimaginable what all we can do.
Well, you know, if you think about it, you know, Kentucky Fried Chicken was started when he was 65. Louise Hay, who started Hay House, which is a huge publication house, she was over 65 when she actually printed her first brochure before she started anything. So we are just in the prime of our lives when we're in this third act. We don't give ourselves permission to explore new possibilities. And we also don't know how to do anything to get to those possibilities. We are stuck.
And I'd like to think, no matter what age, what physical condition, there's something that can be created.
Well, I like to say there's a ripple effect. That whatever we do, it causes a ripple in the universe, and we can't stop a ripple, right? We have no idea what small things that you do that can actually make a difference. And if I could share something, I retired and I go into a new doctor because they won't take you on the old doctors. And the nurse comes in and she said, "And what did you used to do?" And I said, "Well, I used to be an attorney." And she goes, "I know. I was in court in 1993. And you were up there and you had a red suit on and you were telling the judge exactly what to do." And I realized that woman is extremely strong and probably bossy. And she said, "I could do it." And she had been very demure and she wasn't going to fight her husband. She wasn't my client. She wasn't going to fight her husband. She was going to go along with everything. And she went home and told her mom. I saw this woman and I realized if she can do it, I can do it. She went to nursing school, she became a nurse, and she said, "Every day I think about you." Now, I had no idea that she was in the courtroom. I had no idea what I was doing was making a difference. But we have no idea when we really become our authentic selves what we leave behind as a legacy. And the people I work with, that is the one word that they want to talk about, is they want to leave a legacy. and not just money, but of something that they have done that has made a difference. They've made lots of differences, and they need to really recognize that and own that. But there is a new way of thinking that we have never been taught, and that is to use these natural laws of the universe and use them to our benefit and be able to go after anything we want to do. And it becomes magical when you understand how to do that.
Mm-hmm. It's very energizing when you have a new dream, you have an idea for a fresh start, and there's something that you want to do or create. What would you say to someone that might be watching that feels stuck and doesn't feel like there's anything exciting for them?
Oh, that is a perfect question. So I would like to share this analogy if I could. So have you seen Groundhog Day with Bill Murray?
I love that
Oh
movie.
my God, okay. So I want everybody to think that it's their Groundhog Day, right? And every day you get up and you see the same things and you think the same things and you do the same things and the same things happen, right? So Bill Murray is really a snarky weatherman, and he gets up and he reacts the same way to the same people every day, and he doesn't change at all, right? Mm-hmm. That is our lives. Science says that we have 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day. 95% of those thoughts are the same exact thoughts we were thinking yesterday. Mm-hmm. Because we are on this autopilot. 95% of our life is controlled by our subconscious mind. So if we understand this, then we can use it to our advantage. We have to realize that we are on autopilot, and we have to realize we need to stay in the present moment. But to take it back to Groundhog Day, the way Bill Murray changed is he realized he only had that one day, mm-hmm. right? And what did he do? He learned to play the piano. And every day he learned a little bit more, but it was just that a little bit at a time. We just take things a little bit at a time. He learned to read French novels, right? He learned about people. He became a different person, one small step at a time, one day at a time, because he changed how he thought in that environment that never changed. He changed himself. He changed how he thought and how he acted to people, and then how they reacted back changed everything. And then when he realized that, and he realized he didn't want to leave, that's when he woke up the next day and it wasn't Groundhog Day. So it's a perfect example of our lives, mm-hmm. right? But we have to understand that we own those thoughts, mm-hmm. we own the moment, and we can choose to think a new thought and take a new action in that moment.
Let's talk about happiness. So Bill Murray in that movie was very unhappy. And at the end, he's very happy and satisfied. How do you get to happy?
Oh, good question. Well, you just make a decision you're happy now. You can never get to happy from unhappy, right? People don't understand that. They say, if I have more money, I'll be happy. When this happens, I'll be happy, right? When I lose 20 pounds, I'll be happy. When all these things happen. And when you understand that your control is to be happy in the present moment. Mm-hmm. And the present moment is something so powerful that people don't really appreciate it or take advantage of it. And we have to remind ourselves that the present moment is the only thing we have.
So I was just thinking, like, energy begets energy.
Yes.
Happiness begets happiness. And just getting into energy and action and trying to do something about the 95% of the repetitive thoughts. That's depressing. If we're thinking the same thing over and over and over, day after day, how can we stop that pattern?
Well, it's a good thing I know.
Okay.
So what we have to do is we have to leave ourselves clues and cues. And one thing I do is I hand out bracelets, right? We have to remind ourselves during the day, because how many times have you driven somewhere and you get there and you don't even know how you got there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're on autopilot.
Where did I park? Because I was, you know.
I do that at Walmart all the time. So we're on autopilot all the time, and we don't remember to remind ourselves to get off autopilot. So I leave myself clues all over. Post-it notes, jewelry, I have a dream catcher I hang, and whenever you see it, you have to take a big deep breath and say, I'm gonna stay in the present moment. And you can ask yourself, how do I feel? Because you're not going to be happy all the time. You can be mad, you can be frustrated, you could be, pissed off at somebody in front of you in line. But realize what you're feeling, right? Acknowledge it, take a big deep breath, and then how do I want to feel, right? In that moment. Mm-hmm. Here's what we do with 95% of our now moments, our present moments. We worry about the past, we feel guilty, we relive it, we think that everything we've done in the past we'll never be able to get over, right? Or we worry about the future, right? The past is regret, the future is fear. We don't know what's going to happen, especially in our third act of life. And we have to realize the only power we have, and the only time we can take any action is in the present moment. So you stay in the present moment, and then you decide, what do I want to do with my future, right? And we don't worry about the past. We don't have fear of the future. What do we want to do right now? That's when you can change your vibration. That's when you can change your thoughts. That's where we can get out of that 95% of the autopilot that we're on.
A lot of times people can kind of wallow in victimhood. Like, I'm a widow, things are never going to be good for me again. You know, the best part of my life is over, and just kind of wallow in that victimhood. Another thing I hear a lot is worrying about an adult child or worrying about some type of situation. So you're talking about fear in the future. So how can we really make a difference in how we're thinking and just be more positive?
If we stay in the present moment, right, and we decide that we want to think a different thought, we have a different feeling, right? A thought immediately gives you a feeling. If you think of a small child, you'll think happy, right? So if you decide to think a different thought, you immediately have a different emotion. Now, emotion just means energy in motion. Our feelings are really the vibration that our body is in. And we all recognize that. When you're in anger, it's that low vibration, and it's
Even
heavy.
Thinking of the word just makes you feel different.
Yeah, right? When you think of gratitude and joy and love, you automatically, like my voice goes up, you automatically are on a higher vibration. When you think you're a victim, right? And there are a lot of bad things that have happened, right? But they happened in the past. Very rarely is anything bad happening in the present moment.
And we can torture ourselves by just reliving and ruminating on the past. You know, salespeople are often taught when they're making sales calls to look in the mirror and smile, because that comes through in your voice, it comes through in your attitude. And you really can change your thoughts just by smiling.
Absolutely, and our thoughts are extremely powerful. Our thoughts are things, right? They can measure that our thoughts are energy. When we realize how powerful we really are and how powerful our thoughts are, and we can change our thoughts very easily. When we change our thoughts, we change our emotions. So when we were talking about victim, literally what I teach is the law of attraction is a vibration that we're giving out, right? It's like a radio signal. And if you're on the signal of, I feel sorry for myself, and I'm mad at myself for everything that happened, it's a low frequency, and the only thing you can get back on that radio frequency is the same frequency. When we learn to change our thoughts, and we literally change our emotions, we're on a higher frequency. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to realize what you're grateful for. One of the things I tell my people is write down 5 things every morning that you're grateful for. And they've got to be 5 different things every morning, because you always say the 5 things. I'm thankful for my health, I'm thankful for my house. But when you have to have 5 different things every morning, you start being thankful for the carpet, you're thankful for everything. You start getting to have to look for what you're grateful for, and then you're so much more grateful all day. The only way you can change from where you are to happy is right now to choose a better thought. And gratitude is much easier to reach for because there's things that you're grateful for all the way around.
And why is it important to do the best we can to be happy?
Because we do have a lot of things to be happy for, but number 2, it's this vibration. It's the law of attraction. So if I could, we're a vibrational universe. Everything in the universe vibrates. This is quantum physics, this is Jesus, this is what the ancient sages have said. Whatever we're vibrating at is all we're going to get back. So if you want to be happy, you have to look for something to be happy in the present moment. And that is what the radio station you're on, and that's what you're going to start paying attention to.
That makes a lot of sense to me, that you can tune in and only get what you've tuned into.
And people say, well, you know, I do have a crummy life, and they probably do to some degree, but you can look around and find other things you're grateful for. You would be amazed how that changes. When you start looking for things to be thankful for, you find things to be thankful for. There's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system. And it can pick up 2,000 bits of information in your environment at any point in time. Our five senses, it only actually picks up 50 and feeds you 50 out of 2,000. It only feeds you what you're conditioned to look for. So if you're in lack and scarcity and poor me, your subconscious mind is only looking for those 50 bits of information that fits with your conditioning. When you start thinking happy or grateful, your subconscious mind says, oh, I better start looking for more things to be happy and grateful for. And you start seeing them, and you become more happy, and you become more grateful, and you think it's magical. A lot of it is neuroplasticity, which is in your brain, but we're starting to understand physically and scientifically how the ancient sages and Jesus have been telling us, right? That love, God is love, right? That's the only thing that we need to worry about. And it's amazing when you understand that you have that power to reach for that in any given time.
But if you think about people that are happy all the time or unhappy all the time, who do you want to be around when you have a choice? People want to be around people that are happy and uplifting. And so not only be happy for yourself, but for others. And then you might be surprised what all comes your way.
You know, one of the things you said a minute ago is about if you were worried about an adult child, right? Well, it's amazing that when you start being happy, people want to be around you. When you change your attitude, it changes the attitude of people around you. You want your kids to visit more? You start doing this gratitude journal, you start staying in the present moment, you start being happy with what you have. It's amazing how when you change your energy, the people around you want to be around you, and they also change their energy.
So what if we have people in our life that we want to fix? Like, I'm so worried about so-and-so because they're not doing this or they're doing that.
We can never fix anybody else. But I promise you, if you fix yourself, we don't have to be fixed, we're already perfect. When you understand the power that you already have and you understand how to internalize it and implement it, when you start loving someone, they can't help but love themselves. They pick it up on this frequency. When you judge someone, even if you're doing it internally, they will pick it up. So if you're trying to change somebody, what does that mean? That means you're judging that they aren't right, right? If we love them unconditionally, it's amazing how that literally changes them.
And don't we want to be loved unconditionally?
I love that. And we also have to be the hero of our own story. We're the star of our own story. Especially women and mothers, we were always a supporting character, right? And I think that we have an identity crisis when we get to a certain age, when we are no longer the supporting character. Well, what if you were the hero in your own story? What if you understood how much time you still had left to do whatever you wanted to do? And that when you had the tools that you could utilize to go after that, you become this hero in your own story. You become the legacy. You become an example for your kids and your grandkids to follow. You don't want them sitting on the couch in their pajamas, which there's nothing wrong with that at some point in time, but you don't want that to be your legacy. And a lot of people don't think they have any other options. And I'm here to tell you, you have every option in the world when you understand how powerful you are. And it all starts with your thoughts and your emotions, what you put out to the world, and what you actually pick up.
So if you will be a hero in your own story, you're teaching other people to be a hero in theirs as well, which is very uplifting. And thank you, Paula, for being a hero for all of us and for being on our show.
Thank you so much for allowing me. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
And most of all, thank you for tuning in. If you have questions or suggestions for our show, please reach out. Our email is empoweringseniors@kpts.org, or give us a call at 316-686-4500. I'm Katherine Ambrose, and until next time, this is Empowering Seniors.